This is the era of streaming. No matter where someone goes or what they do, everything is recorded, uploaded, and broadcast to the world. But repetition always leads to boredom, filled with recycled content, identical routines, and the same ordinary people. It's the same old thing on this earth. Before people had grown tired of the familiar, alien species from another planet appeared. A small creature greets everyone and asks whether the stream is working properly. They have arrived to deliver the fresh excitement humanity has been craving. When they first visited Earth 3 years ago, humans were cautious, but it immediately clarifies that the visitors had no hostile intentions. They came from peaceful civilizations, and soon the diverse worlds they inhabited, along with broadcasts showing their extraordinary lives, became woven into everyday human existence. Inside a cramped room, a black-haired man wearing glasses leans back in his chair while watching the broadcast. He says that this is genuinely hilarious and laughs, adding that he cannot understand how anyone could possibly not watch it. He thinks back to when he once worked in streaming himself, remembering clips full of exaggerated laughter and people asking what on earth they were watching while calling it completely insane. He reflects that after that day, he quit. Now he is stuck in his room, unemployed, with nothing he wants to do. Still, he admits to himself that he cannot live like this forever. Suddenly, the room jolts with loud crashes. He wonders if he was being too loud and thinks that he should turn the volume down. He mutters that this should be better, but the pounding continues. Confused and irritated, he asks what the hell is going on and shouts for whoever it is to stop. The wall explodes inward. He freezes, baffled, his thoughts filled with question marks as he starts to wonder what just happened. A silver-haired woman crashes into the room. He says that he has absolutely no idea what this is supposed to be. Comments flood his vision, asking what just happened, laughing in disbelief, questioning whether she is human, and calling the moment legendary. The woman awkwardly greets him, stammering, then panics and apologizes repeatedly, trying to explain. He screams about his wall and insists that he has to call the police. She begs him to wait, screaming that he cannot report her and clinging to him while he yells for her to let go. Still clinging to him with a flushed, desperate face, she screams that aliens are not allowed to commit crimes and insists she will be forcibly deported if this gets reported. She begs for mercy. He stiffens, eyes wide behind his glasses, and pleads for her to calm down while she continues begging. Outside the ruined wall, he lowers his voice and says that he understands, but she needs to settle down. Standing amid the debris, he tries to process the situation and asks plainly whether she was streaming. She answers yes, laughing awkwardly under her breath, and explains that the wall broke because of a donation reaction. Still frowning, he asks how much money she could have received to justify smashing through a wall. She hesitates, stalls, rubs at her eye, and lets out a weak laugh before blurting out that it was 5. He asks if she meant 5 million won, clarified as roughly $3,700. She immediately panics and corrects him, insisting it was only 50,000 won, about $37. He responds with a blank, disbelieving sound and questions whether that is absurdly cheap. She straightens and insists that this is what professionals do, even as broken fragments litter the floor. He suggests contacting the landlord about the wall, but she hesitates. When he presses her, she admits that she is behind on rent as well. She explains that if the landlord finds out she broke the wall, she will be evicted immediately, and if that happens, she will have nowhere to go. He stares down at his phone while she promises to fix everything, begging him to give her some time. She bows deeply, her forehead nearly touching the floor, swearing she will work hard to earn the money and pleading for a single chance. After a thoughtful pause, he agrees, but only for 1 week. She snaps upright with tears in her eyes, thanking him over and over and promising to do her best. He reassures himself that since she is a streamer, she will probably manage to pay for the repairs soon. If not, he will deal with the landlord then. He tries to forget about it, but he cannot deny his curiosity about the broadcast that literally broke into his room, and her desperate apology lingers in his mind. After watching her stream for a week, he can only react with a flat realization of disappointment. On screen, she rambles about her time in the demon realm, worries that her voice is too quiet, apologizes, thanks someone for a donation, fumbles through reactions, admits she cannot do wall handstands anymore, and derails repeatedly. He concludes that she is hopeless, then doubles down internally, deciding that this is the worst stream he has seen in years. When the week ends, he approaches her and says they need to talk. She startles in her headset and hesitantly responds. The chat explodes with speculation about whether he is a guest, a neighbor, or part of the content, and whether a fight is about to happen. He apologizes but insists on addressing the issue. She begs for more time, but he refuses, deciding it will be faster to speak to the landlord. She grabs him, insisting he already gave her time and pleading again. He points out that her stream is not doing well anyway. She protests that she is just starting and insists it will work if he gives it time. He says that more time will not fix the problem. She jerks toward him, cheeks flushed, and demands to know what he means by that. She tries to defend herself, clasping her hands and saying that she is fairly attractive and that her voice is not bad. The chat comments that she is cute, that she feels like a little sister, and reacts with amused disbelief. Watching her flounder, he can only think, with heavy disbelief, about how clueless she is. She throws her arms out and complains that she does not understand why her viewer count is not rising, insisting that she plays fun games. He argues they might only be fun for her, then she quickly claims her stories are entertaining, before he contradicts her and calls them boring. She insists she should obviously be popular. He tells her that nothing about it is obvious. She leans forward, insisting her stream is fun. He concludes that she truly has no idea what she is doing. She pouts, then points to herself and declares that it is the viewers who fail to recognize her talent. The chat reacts with disbelief and confusion. She beams and asks if they agree. His patience finally snaps. He lunges forward and yells that she is terrible at streaming and is doing nothing right. He points out that her voice is barely audible and that she does not interact with viewers at all. She recoils, stunned, barely managing a response. He continues, demanding how she expects to stream without reading chat properly, and announces that there is more. He begins barking instructions like a drill instructor, telling her to tie her hair back, tuck her chin, straighten her posture. The chat erupts, questioning who he is and reacting with fear and fascination. He orders her to sit, and she squeaks in obedience. He tells her to check chat constantly and move on immediately if a reaction falls flat. Leaning close, he says that simply talking is not broadcasting and that she needs to study other streams. He demands confirmation. Trembling, she screams that she understands. The broadcast ends and she declares that it is finally over. She slumps in her chair, thinking she nearly lost her mind. However, the reaction is explosive. She clenches her fists and loudly thanks someone for a donation. The chat compares it to military training, praises her obedience, and laughs at the volume. Donations keep pouring in. She points off-screen and yells for someone to leave as another donation appears with an insult attached. The chat urges her to go further, to be harsher. She shouts back, calling the donor a stupid jerk. For the first time, she reached the real-time trending list. She declares that he is no ordinary person. He turns to leave, saying that he is going now. He begs her to fix the wall soon. She thinks that with his help, becoming a top-tier streamer might actually be possible. She stops him, then says she has a request. She introduces herself as Demon King Ale and begs him to become her manager. He stares at her across the jagged crack where his wall used to be and repeats her words in disbelief, saying that she is seriously calling herself the Demon King. 3 years ago, when other races first appeared on Earth, most of them were friendly toward humans. The demon folk from the Demon Star were a clear exception. This hostility is exactly why sending the Demon King back had not been an easy task. Back in the ruined room, he looks down at the small, horned girl dressed in streamer clothes and tries to connect the dots, thinking that this is supposed to be that Demon King. She leans closer across the desk, carefully watching his expression twist with doubt, and asks why he is staring at her like that. He presses a finger to his lips and hums instead of answering, continuing to examine her. The silence makes her increasingly flustered. His face hardens, and he tells her to stop lying, adding a mocking laugh to the accusation. She jerks upright, fists clenched, and reacts with outraged disbelief. He rubs the back of his neck and asks which Demon King she is even talking about. She insists again that she is the Demon King. He shuts her down immediately, saying there is no way the Demon King would be here of all places, emphasizing how ordinary the situation is by gesturing around himself. He waves dismissively and turns away, sarcastically saying he understands and addressing her as a self-proclaimed Demon King. He tells her to find someone else to be her manager as he starts to leave. Behind him, she stomps forward and shouts that she already told him who she is, demanding to know how many times she has to repeat it. She follows up by asking why he refuses to be her manager. He stops, clearly irritated, and asks who would ever agree when she keeps saying things like that. She snaps back that there is nothing strange about it. He raises his voice and tells her to stop insisting, his patience wearing thin. Suddenly, he turns back and lifts a finger, presenting a condition as if settling the argument logically. He says that if she truly is the Demon King, then he will be her manager. He narrows his eyes and stresses that this only applies if she is the real one. She stiffens, eyes widening, and quietly asks if he means it. He begins to respond, but she cuts him off immediately, clutching her chest and demanding that he not take it back later. His words die when the air suddenly feels wrong. Confusion twists his face as the room shifts unnaturally. Outside, the sky flashes with violent light, and pressure roars through the air. Inside, the glow of her streaming setup turns harsh as energy surges around her, flooding the room with blinding streaks like lightning. He can only stare, stunned, thinking this cannot be happening as he starts to speak in shock. She truly is the Demon King. Her eyes shine with unnatural light as she extends her hand, gathering a burning mass of power in her palm. The force whips her hair and tugs at her clothes as if the air itself is being dragged toward her magic. He recoils, face pale, and begs her to stop. He hurriedly admits that he was wrong and insists that he understands now, desperately trying to calm her. She lets out a small, uncertain sound, but the energy does not fade right away. When it ends, he is crouched low, clutching his head and crying out for help. Nearby, she hovers with a shaken expression, insisting that she is fine now. She watches him closely and asks if he believes her now, repeating the question that matters most to her, asking whether he finally accepts that she is the Demon King. He looks at her with a half-traumatized expression and pleads for her to spare him. Later, sitting beside her in the wrecked room, he keeps his gaze fixed on her horns, unable to understand how a Demon King could still be here when she should have been sent back years ago. She leans closer, cheeks faintly pink, and explains that the Demon King from back then is not the same as her. She adds that there are 4 Demon Kings in total. Still tense, he angles away and addresses her as Mrs. Ale, asking whether she intends to attack humans. She answers immediately that she would never do that, and he mutters that at least that is reassuring. Her voice softens as she admits that she likes it here. She says Earth has far more fun things than the Demon Realm, and that even with few viewers, she genuinely enjoys streaming. She bows forward again and begs him to become her manager and help grow her channel. He scratches his cheek and admits that he did say he would agree if she were truly the Demon King, but hesitates, trailing off about what being a manager actually involves. She looks up stubbornly, insisting despite his doubtful look. He can only respond with a helpless sound. In his head, he reasons that helping a little on the side should end this quickly. He admits she is kind of an idiot, but that oddity is part of her charm, and being a Demon King is a strong hook. Then he snaps himself back, reminding himself of the real issue. He swore never to return to streaming work, but when he looks at the gaping hole in the wall, he realizes he cannot ignore it. He finally agrees. She jolts upright, eyes shining, and reacts in shock, but he immediately adds a condition. He says the contract will be on his terms. When she leans forward eagerly, he adds that she must fix the wall, and the contract is final, with no complaints. She agrees instantly, nodding so fast her hair flicks. She rambles that all terms are fine, including the duration, and insists there is no problem. With desperate brightness, she adds that even after the wall is fixed, she wants to keep going and calls him her manager. He exhales and reluctantly accepts. He places papers in front of her and tells her to read and sign the contract. She studies it slowly, humming in concentration, then points and asks if she signs there. He tells her to check the back page as well. She dismisses it as fine, prompting him to snap and demand she actually read it. She freezes, then abruptly declares she is done. His face darkens as he sighs in exhaustion. She proudly shows her signature, explaining she made it when she dreamed of getting famous young. He asks if she read the contract. She casually admits she did not, trusting him to handle it properly. His temper flares as he grabs her cheeks and scolds her for signing blindly. She yelps, then admits she would not understand it anyway. He releases her and tells her she should ask questions instead. She sulks. In his mind, he concludes she is only a Demon King in title and otherwise completely clueless. She forces confidence and admits she rushed because she was afraid he might fix the wall and back out. He grips his pen, overwhelmed, then decides to rewrite the contract and explain everything slowly. She perks up immediately and dashes away before stopping guiltily at his shout. As he rewrites, he explains that it will be a provisional contract, that he will handle planning and filming, and that she must follow his content plans without complaints. She agrees as long as nothing weird is involved, and he assures her it will not be. He adds that the contract lasts until the wall is fixed, after which they will decide what comes next. She nods vigorously. When it comes time to sign, he asks for her hand. Confused, she hesitates until he explains a thumbprint is safer. She panics, asking if that makes it a blood oath. He replies that contracts probably work like that in the demon realm. She stiffens, then declares herself ready. After the thumbprint, he states that the contract is sealed and warns against betrayal. She stares at it in awe, convinced it is truly a blood oath. He dryly suggests saying that on stream. He gives her a copy and tells her to keep it safe, then introduces himself as Kong Doyeon and says he looks forward to working with her. She softly repeats his name. The next moment, snow falls beneath a pale sky. Ale shivers, calling his name again and asking what this place is. Bundled in winter gear, he calmly answers that it's content. Surrounded by icy cliffs and roaring wind, she throws her arms up and demands to know what kind of stream they're supposed to do here. Ale stares up at the endless white cliffs and battered ridges buried under snow, then flings her hands out and shouts that she has no idea what kind of stream they're supposed to do here, beneath the blinding mountain view. The wind bites through her hair and yanks at the straps of her red backpack as she turns in place, demanding an answer and calling Doyeon's name. When he does not respond, she calls again, louder, breath puffing in the air, then spins and yells for him as if she can drag him out of the whiteout by force. She finds him only a short distance away, locked inside a translucent blue block of ice. His body is stiff, his face strained, and he weakly begs that she should save him. Ale reels back, trembling, and says that she is going to melt at any second now. He adds that he honestly thought he was going to die. Then she snaps into anger and demands to know why he brought them to a place like this, glaring at the mountains. Later, once they are both back on the ridge, Ale protests that they are really starting the stream here. Doyeon answers calmly that this is exactly why they came. She snaps that they came with no plan. He replies that they do have one, and it is her, Ale. When she demands what that means, he exhales and says it cannot be helped. If they want real money, they must break into the top 100 rankings, which means she has to become a best streamer. Among the famous channels, names, portraits, and numbers, he deduces that Isle's channel is not even registered. Even if she promotes on the community board, the viewer's reaction would be negative obviously. They would tell her to get lost, accusing her of baiting, and calling her boring as hell. The only way to boost traffic is probably YouTube, but he makes it clear she has no real setup. In the end, the only thing they can rely on is viewer-edited clips. Basically TikTok or shorts. Doyeon clenches his fist and declares that they are climbing this place to pull out fun clip moments. Ale lags behind, panting, and calls his name like she is trying to stop him. She asks whether struggling up a mountain is supposed to be fun. He answers flatly that it is. She freezes with a wordless, baffled reaction, but he tells her she will understand when they get there and keeps walking, eyes on the device in his hands. Ale looks around at the blizzard-white slopes and starts to ask if this is not just an ordinary hike. Dread finishes the thought for her, and she stammers Doyeon's name in rising panic. The mountain answers first. A shadow passes, and massive rocks begin tumbling down through the haze. Ale whips around and screams that there are rocks, repeating herself as she staggers backward. Doyeon barely reacts, only saying that she should not worry because he is filming everything properly. A live chat overlay explodes with panicked profanity and reckless suggestions, including demands that she should smash him with her head and bizarre chatter about Hoduk. Doyeon blinks at the chat as if offended, then snaps back and shouts that she needs to go to the right. Ale yells that she does not understand. He orders her to dodge right. She repeats the direction in disbelief, throws herself sideways, and a boulder slams down where she stood, swallowing her scream. He immediately barks that she should jump high next. Ale shrieks, but her legs obey, and she vaults up as another rock crashes beneath her path. She lands hard and scrambles on, and over the wind he notes, satisfied, that she can see it now, the pattern is always the same. Still running, Ale pants and demands to know how he knows the dodges. He answers like it is obvious, and she realizes what he did. She admits he researched all of it beforehand. He confirms he studied everything about this place, especially the main content, the snowfield of whaling. He says that the next trap would be the same as well. She shouts demanding what he means by more traps. He ignores her question and tells her to keep moving. He shouts for him not to change the subject, to which he tells her to just think of it as a slightly more fun hike. This is a frozen planet no one has ever cleared, where streamers quit because of the unimaginable cold and the snowfield's hazards. As they climb, disasters trigger like scripted events. As Ale flails around, he starts chanting directions like a GTA cheat code: up, down, left, up, right, as if she is playing a punishing game rather than walking. The ground turns treacherous, ice traps catch her, and she ends up wedged, unable to move. She cries for help, stammering that she cannot move at all, while chat reacts in real time with nervous laughter, shocked comments, and excitement. The stream interface keeps chiming with praise for the filming, calling the camera angle insane and the urgency thrilling. Do-yeon rushes in and asks if she is okay. Ale insists she is fine and says her clothes are caught. He exhales in relief and says that thank goodness she really is the Demon King, then says he will pull her out. She thanks him, but as he hauls her free, his expression shifts and he admits that she is heavier than he expected. Ale flares with embarrassment and denial, then blurts that it is because her clothes are soaked, cheeks burning as she realizes how it sounds, and he starts apologizing in a rush. Once she is free, she forces herself back to the plan and asks if the goal is to push through the disasters, reach the summit, and get clip material. The chat answers with its usual cruelty, saying they will not make it, mocking her, and demanding why she did not show something like this earlier. Do-yeon admits bluntly that he does not know what to do next either. Ale snaps, demanding what that means. He explains they have reached the farthest point anyone has ever cleared on this unexplored planet. The chat surges with excitement, flooding the feed with shocked reactions, goodbye messages, and people begging to see what comes next. He tells her he is counting on her and that anything is fine. She starts to protest that he is treating her like a tool because she is the Demon King. Do-yeon asks whether she cannot just use her demon powers. Ale warns that her power is not limitless and that using it too much is dangerous, insisting her earlier display was only a quick show. Still, she says she will handle the truly dangerous moments and tells him not to worry. An avalanche suddenly roars down toward them, but Aile's purple aura bursts outward and stops the avalanche dead, freezing the disaster in place like a captured frame. The chat loses its mind. Ale immediately snaps that this is a perfect clip moment and demands to know why he is not filming. Do-yeon insists that he is filming properly. If they really clear it, everything will change. In a bright, modern-looking complex with layered rooftops and terraces, a thought lingers that the upload is already done. A woman lounges back in her chair in front of a large monitor, arms stretched overhead as she keeps watching footage. She is Yoelu, a clipper with 12 million subscribers. She says that she watched all of the Snowfield clips and had a feeling, but she can't believe they are actually going there themselves, and she remarks that they are seriously nuts. Reclining with her phone in hand. Her phone buzzes and she mutters that it's another crazy bastard. And she answers with a casual greeting, asking what's up. The caller asks if she really doesn't know why she called. She states that their contract says that she is only supposed to upload their videos until this month, and she presses the point as if it should already be obvious. Yoelu tells her to just watch the video, insisting she will understand once she does. On her screen, a clip plays showing the snowy, watching Snow Mountain peak, the scene framed like a highlight that's already being circulated. Watching, a woman, seated with an easy confidence, says that the person on screen is Kong Do-yeon and notes that he hasn't changed at all. When she's asked by Yoelu if she knows him, she answers that she does, in a way. Yoelu points out that if they show the summit, all the attention will be stolen, and asks whether that wouldn't put them in trouble too. The response comes as a measured concession, saying that maybe it would. She adds all the streams lately are getting stale anyway, so if something fresh comes out, they might lose in the competition, quickly clarifying that she meant other streamers of course. Yoelu agrees, drawing out the thought, and the question lands at the end. The woman asks what the name of that channel was again. Elsewhere, a red-haired woman comments that coffee was ready and complained she did not want to work. She tried to remember what she was doing, said she thought she finished editing the video from 2 days ago, and asked herself if she should try to get some work done. Then she froze, staring at her screen, and asked what that was. She repeated that the snow mountain was cleared, and the word clear flashed across the feed. Back on the mountain, Ale cleared her throat and called out to Do-yeon. She demanded if he did not have anything to say. She calmly said they cleared it safely thanks to her. Do-yeon then looks straight at Ale and asks if she remembers, and he specifies that he means how they got all the way here. Aile's confident posture wavers and she answers that yes, though her voice comes out hesitant. Offering reactions that say that she cannot remember this, that they are laughing, that it is unbelievable, and that she should get out. Earlier when they were climbing, Aile's face suddenly tightens, and she abruptly says that she is sorry to Do-yeon. Her eyes lose focus as she admits that she thinks her memory ends here. Do-yeon freezes mid-step and answers with a small yes, then asks what she means, but Aile's body gives out in the storm. The next instant, Do-yeon's eyes widen and he shouts her name as he rushes forward. Snow lashes around them, and his thoughts spiral into panic as he demands to know what is going on. He gets down beside her and realizes out loud that she used too much mana, and then he asks what they are supposed to do. Do-yeon leans over her and tells her to wake up, asking if she is okay while the wind and snow hiss over his shoulders. Ale winces and answers weakly that she does not have any strength, and she adds that she cannot exactly hit this one, sounding both exhausted and strangely serious even while she lies there. The chats pop up again, mocking the urgency with there's no ice magic, that he should just hit her, and that it is 10,001 per hit. Do-yeon swallows his frustration, then decides on the only workable option. He tells her to hop on quickly, shifting his backpack and bracing himself. Ale answers that yes, and she clings to him as he hoists her onto his back. Breathing hard, Do-yeon says that they have no choice and that she needs to hurry up and get on, and he adds that he thinks they are almost there. From over his shoulder, Ale looks at him with wide eyes and asks if he did not come, he was going to leave her. Do-yeon snaps back that leaving her behind is not even a question and demands to know what she is saying, his voice cracking from fear and the cold. Ale tightens her grip and he tells her to make sure he captures the screen well. Ale, riding on his back, answers like a resigned cameraman and says yes sir, even as his feet slip and recover on the icy ground. They finally reach the mission endpoint, where a glowing ring hangs over a cliff edge and the air clears just enough for the word clear to sit on the scene like a stamp. Ale, regaining her pride the moment the danger passes, says that she told him, and she adds that they could not help it, could they? She then declares that anyway, they cleared it thanks to her, leaning forward as if claiming credit for the entire mountain. Do-yeon, wiping snow from his glasses, answers with tired agreement and says yes, yes. Then he calls Aile's name and tells her to look at this, tilting the phone toward her. Donation messages explode across the screen in stacked banners, repeating that someone donated and that a snow mountain speedrun mission succeeded, each notice adding a neat chunk of won. The chat reacts in a blur, with comments asking how much that is, guessing a number, bragging about arithmetic being fast, and laughing. Ale stares at the total and whispers that this means there will be plenty left even after fixing the wall, her voice turning small with relief. She adds that she does not really need mana, as if trying to convince herself not to be greedy. Do-yeon answers that it is not that bad, sounding like he is trying to calm both her and the situation at the same time. Do-yeon checks what he found earlier and says that he looked into it and that the repair costs are not that high, but he immediately follows by saying that this amount is a bit unlikely, suspicion tugging at his tone. Ale calls him by name again, drawing his attention back before he can spiral into logistics. Ale admits that, of course, fixing the wall is important, but she confesses that she used a lot of authority and that she needs a recharge. He asks how they do that, pressing a finger to her lips as if she is searching her own rules for the answer. Ale starts to explain and says that is, dragging the words out dramatically. Do-yeon, watching her face for signs she is about to collapse again, repeats after her and asks what that is. Aile's eyes squeeze shut as she commits to the thought, and she blurts that is, and then, with a sudden shift in scenery and mood, her expression flips into dazzled delight. She looks around as if she has stepped into something far beyond a normal plan and breathes that it is amazing. She nods emphatically and says totally, then raises her voice with sparkling excitement and insists that it is totally amazing, looking at the table full of sweets. Do-yeon lingers in the background, still damp with fatigue and disbelief, while Aile's enthusiasm swells. He comments that she's unbelievable. Ale cries out that now she feels like she can live. She tells him that she already said she has to eat sweets to recharge. Watching her devour desserts like it's an emergency supply drop, Do-yeon asks if that is really how she recharges, and Ale answers yes. She compares it by asking if sugar is a nutrient for the brain, and then says that it's similar to that. Even while insisting that it makes sense in a weird way and that she is dizzy, she declares that this is just how the demon race is. Do-yeon responds with a flat acknowledgement, saying yes, and then quietly adds that since she caused such a scene, he hopes the subscribers increased a bit. The moment he checks, he jolts and yells what, and his tablet nearly slips as he stares. Ale panics and asks why he is reacting like that, wondering if she did something wrong, but Do-yeon says no and insists that it doesn't make sense. He points out that even if they cleared the Wailing Snow Mountain, the number still shouldn't move like this, and he blurts that it increased to 10,000. Ale asks if that is such a huge amount, and he reminds her that their original goal was 3,000, adding that at this level it's almost bot-level views, and that it's extremely rare for anything to lead to actual subscriptions. Ale suddenly grabs his sleeve and calls Do-yeon, telling him to look at this. Do-yeon asks why YouTube, and Ale explains that a famous clipper posted them, realizing that this is why the subscribers increased, even as she keeps yelling in shock. Do-yeon immediately tells Ale that they should make one right now. Ale asks what he means, and Do-yeon says that they should make a YouTube channel. Ale repeats his name again, stunned, and says that they gave up on YouTube because they didn't have the money to hire an editor, but he insists that now is the time to row. When she asks if they are going to spend all the donation money, Do-yeon admits that he spent it all on desserts, and he wonders if there is any other way. Do-yeon pauses, an idea clicking in with a simple "oh," and he says that he thought of someone. Somewhere else, a red-haired woman sits in front of her laptop and lets out a tired sigh. Sook frowns at her screen and thinks that this jerk is unbelievable. Someone asks her what is wrong, calling her Sook, and she answers that she has an old friend. She explains that he went off the grid for a while, but that suddenly he has become an internet celebrity. As she keeps staring at the clip, she reads a post where someone asks if anyone caught this live, saying they were promoting a channel and got the first clear on the snow mountain. She notices other reactions piling in, with people asking where they can watch the replay and whether there is a full video, and someone claiming they heard the girl is a demon and that it is actually fun. Watching the buzz spread, Sook adds that it seems he has started streaming again, all without a single call to her, disappearing and reappearing whenever he pleases. Her phone rings, snapping her out of it. She blurts out in confusion and asks what is wrong, stammering as she tries to respond. The person on the call asks if that person contacted her, and Sook hurriedly confirms that he did. She apologizes and asks if they can postpone the advice session, promising that she will contact them later. On the laptop, the other person agrees and tells her not to forget to call, and Sook replies that she understands, thanking them and saying she loves them before ending it. With her jaw tight, she repeats his full name in her head, calling Kang Do-yeon a jerk, and she gets up with purpose, deciding that she is going to see his face. A modern building comes into view as she arrives. She confronts him and asks how he can call her out for something like that. Her cheeks heat as she fixes her gaze on him and says his name again, Do-yeon, like it is both a warning and an accusation. In the next breath, she swings her cup forward, and coffee splashes across him in a sudden spray. Do-yeon recoils and clutches his head, wet and stunned, eyes squeezed tight behind his glasses. Sook leans in with a sharp, triumphant glare and tells him to get lost. She says he has the nerve to show up after 3 years just to ask her to edit his videos. She asks if he's crazy. He insists there is a misunderstanding. Sook demands what part is a misunderstanding. Without speaking a word to her, his own editor, he broke up with his girlfriend, closed the couple YouTube channel and completely disappeared off the grid. She rattles off that there was no contact for 3 years, then leans in and asks which part is supposed to be the misunderstanding. When he starts to answer, she presses harder and asks if he got into a car accident or something, ordering him to explain why he ghosted first. Do-yeon keeps apologizing and says that he couldn't contact her because he had to do his military service too, admitting that he was frantic with various things. Sook snaps that it's another excuse, then tells him he should have said that from the start, adding that she can understand him going to the military. Even so, she points out that it's still a fact that he ghosted her, and she asks again if he wants her to edit his channel videos. Do-yeon says it isn't his channel, and Sook demands what that even means. He tells her someone should be arriving soon and says that Sook must have seen her on the internet, insisting she waited a long time and must have only stopped by somewhere. Then he points forward and says that he wants Sook to take charge of Demon King Aile's channel. Aile steps in awkwardly and says that her name is Aile, adding that she heard a lot about Sook. Sook's expression turns sharp as she addresses Do-yeon by name and asks if he's serious, saying she's being told to handle another person's channel. Doyeon tries to explain, but Suk argues that demons can't enter Earth and says she doesn't know why he got involved, pointing out Ale right there. She tells Ale to report herself and go back home before she reports her to the authorities. Doyeon asks her to wait and let Ale explains. Ale starts explaining and says that the demon king who attacked Earth 3 years ago was Whis, then says that Whis is one of the 4 demon kings, including herself. As the images of the demon realm and its rulers appear, Ale explains that the demon realm is managed by 4 demon kings dividing it, and that Whis was the demon king of the north. She adds that the other demon kings wanted peace, so the entry restriction was applied only to the demons of the north. She says that she is the demon king of the south, so it's okay for her to be on Earth, but Suk answers that that's just what Ale says. Doyeon lays it out anyway and says that since Ale is a demon king who entered Earth legally, she could legally stream and work, there are no issues, and that's why he wants Suk as the editor. Suk says she gets what he means, but argues she already has a channel she manages and asks why she has to take on Aile's channel too. Ale says that she could think of it as her and Doyeon's channel. Suk says that that is not the point. Doyeon watches the two of them and thinks that if Ale and Suk keep talking like this, Suk will absolutely never take the job. He starts selling it hard, saying that running a channel is what he does, while Ale just broadcasts what he plans, and with Suk's skills, handling 2 channels is easy. He reminds her that even before, she used to read a fan book and edit right away. She starts to hesitate but tries to argue. Before she could, Doyeon says there is only Suk, because they've already done it together before. Suk hesitates and Doyeon admits he feels most comfortable with her, then asks her to just do it this one time. Doyeon immediately tells Ale to hurry and give Suk any compliment, and Ale awkwardly agrees before praising Suk as amazing, saying she watched all the videos Suk edited and there were no boring parts, and that the effects were good without being overdone. Ale adds that she wishes Suk would become her editor too. They continue showering her with compliments until Suk gives in completely and says she just has to do it. Doyeon and Ale start celebrating and then Suk asks how much the salary will be. She states that he must know, that it's several times the old editing fee. Doyeon and Ale get awkward, not knowing how to tell her to work for free while Suk just wait for them to speak. When a sudden buzzing interrupts, and he wonders who would call at this time, he get up to answer and tells Ale to explain, and he quickly apologizes to Suk before leaving. Ale then tries to smooth it over, starting by calling her Great Supreme Suk, but Suk understood immediately, chirping that it's obvious, calling it the usual, work together now, money later, pattern. Suk grumbles that his pattern never changes. Ale, trying to lighten the mood, brings out desserts and holds them out with both hands. Jung Suk receives them with a wary look while Ale excitedly says that she even brought over leftovers from broadcast portions too. Jung Suk sighs, resigning herself for the moment, and says that she understands for now, then starts to say that, regarding the details, they will have to. Suk looks at Kang Doyeon outside and says that if it is about that, then she has to take it up with him. Jung Suk watches him, and her eyes sharpen as she thinks that Kang Doyeon has not changed at all. Her gaze shifts to Ale, and she thinks about how even this kid named Ale has suddenly appeared, and how women just do not stop coming. Oblivious to the tension, Ale sits down and happily digs into the dessert. She looks up with shining eyes and asks Suk if she has tried this before, then blurts out that it is really delicious. Jung Suk leans her cheek into her palm, studying Ale closely, then calls her Ms. Ale, and says that there is something she is curious about. Jung Suk asks what Aile's relationship with Doyeon is, watching for a reaction. Ale jolts as if struck by lightning, stammering as she asks what relationship she could possibly mean. Jung Suk calmly suggests that it might be a dating relationship. Ale panics instantly, flailing in denial and blurting out that it is not like that, her face turning red as she practically squeaks. She hurriedly explains that they just lived next door and met by chance, trying to wave away the suspicion with frantic hands. Then, still flustered, she blurts out the real reason with awkward pride, saying that she asked him to be her manager, as if that should settle everything. Jung Suk lets out a quiet, amused sound, her eyes narrowing with interest, and says that she sees. She starts to continue, saying that then Doyeon is. Doyeon suddenly shouts Aile's name at the top of his lungs. Jung Suk whips her head around, startled, while Ale freezes mid-bite. Doyeon looks shaken and declares that it is big trouble. Ale, startled by his urgency, asks what happened, while Jung Suk mutters that he surprised her, still leaning over the back of the couch with wary eyes. Do-yeon, face drawn, says that it is the wall. Ale repeats the word in confusion, and Jung-suk echoes it too, both of them staring like they cannot connect it to anything yet. Do-yeon clarifies, voice tight, saying that the house wall collapsed, and the scene shifts to the outside of the building. Jung-suk calls Do-yeon's name, and Ale asks what they are supposed to do now, her posture shrinking as the reality hits. Do-yeon admits that he does not know either, looking exhausted. Suk, still confused and stressed, asks if, coincidence, broke this wall. Do-yeon's eyes harden as paperwork flashes into view, including an invoice and a deportation notice with Aile's photo. He thinks through it out loud, saying that because of her, he cannot get the deposit back, and then adds that they cannot let Ale be deported. With his decision made, Do-yeon declares that they will do it without the deposit. He states that there is nowhere to go right now. Jung-suk calls out to Do-yeon, addressing him as Kong-do, and he immediately apologizes to her, sounding genuinely strained. He asks her to give him some time to think. Jung-suk snaps back that there is no use thinking, then reminds him that he said he has nowhere to go, and finishes with a cold certainty that they have no choice. Jung-suk leans in, cheeks faintly warm, eyes glinting with resolve, and asks if they want to live together at her house, presenting it like the only workable answer. Do-yeon blurts out a stunned, "What?" unable to process it, while Aile's entire body jolts and she screams in shocked disbelief, reacting as if her brain has short-circuited. Sunlight washes over the modern house with its wide windows and rooftop panels, and the scene shifts down to the entrance where moving continues. Do-yeon arrives at Jung-suk's place with another box and says that she really startled him, calling her Jung-suk like he still cannot believe it. Jung-suk replies calmly that it is surprising, then explains that it is only staying there until the house repairs are finished. Ale, cheeks red while lifting boxes, blurts out that it is not that, insisting Jung-suk phrased it strangely. She forces the words out and says that they should live together, then recoils and cries that it is too shameless. Jung-suk shoots back that Ale is the shameless one and tells her to stop making useless noise. Jung-suk pokes at Do-yeon, asking if he was flustered hearing that. Do-yeon answers that he would be flustered if she helped move things, making it clear she is absolutely not helping. He notes that this was the last load anyway, and when Jung-suk asks why he is saying it like that, he answers that it is because it is fun. They move things upstairs. Comments pass about how hard it must have been to haul it to the second floor and how the room layout is wicked. Jung-suk says Ale and M will use the same floor, and Ale says she does not mind anywhere. Once the luggage and organizing are basically done, Do-yeon looks at both women and says that thanks to them, the housing worry is solved, and he praises them for doing a good job. Ale grabs Jung-suk's hands and thanks her over and over, saying everything was pitch black before, and Jung-suk laughs it off and tells her not to mention it. Do-yeon quietly thinks about how the wall ended up fully collapsing when they only tried to fix it, to which Ale apologizes. Jung-suk reports that the landlord will accept them back once the wall is fixed and will not report it, concluding everything worked out. She opens the fridge, pulls out drinks, and with a sly smile suggests they have a drink together as a moving-in party. Do-yeon agrees that it sounds good, and Ale eagerly says she would love to. As they drink, Jung-suk calls Do-yeon over and scolds him, calling him a punk and doubling down with really and seriously. She then squeezes Aile's cheeks and gushes that M is cute, while Ale whines that she is so sleepy. Do-yeon confirms that she is, strictly speaking, and Ale awkwardly stammers an excuse me. Ale says she should head in, and Jung-suk asks if it is already time. Ale requests that if they stay up longer, they should call her when they clean up, saying she will sleep comfortably. Jung-suk says Kong-do will clean up, agrees that she understands, and answers with an easy sure as Ale leaves them to it. Jung-suk sits with a drink in hand, her face already warm, when Do-yeon turns slightly toward her and calls her Suk-ah. He quietly says that he is thankful for everything, then adds that he is grateful for her taking the landlord's crap and letting them stay at her house. He hesitates, looking awkwardly serious, and says that he does not even know how to express his gratitude properly. Jung-suk stiffens at the sudden sincerity and snaps back that he is suddenly saying cringy stuff, then complains that she is getting goosebumps. Do-yeon, still earnest, asks if it is like that even when he says it, and he admits it is a bit bothersome but continues anyway. Jung-suk shifts closer as the conversation drifts, her eyes softening. She says that it is better to keep him right in front of her eyes, and she adds that she will not let him disappear without a word like before, her tone carrying leftover irritation from before. Do-yeon rubs his face under his glasses and says that he already said he was sorry about that. Jung-suk leans in and calls him by name again, then asks if he still remembers when they were young. Do-yeon answers immediately that of course he remembers, as if it would be impossible to forget. Jung-suk's expression twists with embarrassment as a childhood memory rises, and he blurts out that her nickname used to be water purifier. She protests in the same breath, flustered. He adds that it was because she cried so much. She immediately yells for him not to talk about that. She points out that he was the one who talked to her first back then, and if it were not for him, she does not think she would have had any friends. Do-yeon agrees, remembering how they played together at his house every day, how it felt like they practically lived there, and she admits that it was really fun being with him. She then looks away, cheeks still pink, and says that now they have both grown up so much. Do-yeon starts to agree, then falters mid-sentence and calls her Suka again, saying that she is too close. Jung-suk blinks and answers with a confused sound, but her body remains pressed against him, her shoulder and chest nearly pinned to his arm. Do-yeon, stiff and flustered, asks if she is too tipsy and suggests that she go inside. Jung-suk immediately denies it, insisting she is not tipsy at all, yet her hand slides along his forearm and she leans even closer as if pulled by the mood. She suddenly blurts for him to wait, right as their faces draw dangerously near. Ale appears behind them, rubbing her eyes sleepily, and asks Miss Jung-suk where the bathroom is. The near miss shatters. Jung-suk jerks back with a strangled scream and hurriedly tells her it is over there, to use the one next to the room. Ale thanks her and shuffles off, and silence drops heavy as Do-yeon and Jung-suk sit turned away from each other, both flushed and breathing out a strained sigh. Do-yeon finally says that he is going to get some fresh air. Jung-suk stammers that, yes, sure, then clutches her head and berates herself, thinking that she was crazy and wondering what she did because of the drink. The words, water purifier, flash again in her mind, and the memory sharpens into a classroom scene where someone laughs and calls it hilarious while another voice says that she looks pitiful and tells them not to be like that. Young Jung-suk lifts her head from her desk, stunned, watching Do-yeon's back as he stood protectively over her. Her gaze lingers, wide and bright, as if that moment never truly left her. Jung-suk sits alone at the dining table, shoulders slightly hunched, staring at the scattered blue cans and muttering that it is really so tactless. She hooks a finger under a tab and cracks another can open with a sharp hiss, then raises it to her lips and drinks with narrowed, glowing eyes that look caught between irritation and embarrassment. With the taste still on her tongue, she tilts her head down and wonders if she did that because she was drunk, her cheeks staying hot as the thought lingers. Ale steps back into the room, fidgeting with her hands and leaning forward anxiously. She hesitantly addresses her as Miss Jung-suk, then asks if she is okay, her blue eyes scanning Jung-suk's face for any sign of trouble. After a beat, Ale adds that she does not see Mr. Do-hyun and asks where he went. She says that she has something to talk about. Seul points out calmly that if Ale goes outside, he will be there. Ale pauses, still uncertain, and Jung-suk explains in the same even tone that he just went out to get some air. Jung-suk then tells Ale to tell Do-hyun to come back in soon, as if trying to regain control of the situation by giving an instruction. Ale straightens and answers with sudden energy that yes, she will go and get him, then rushes toward the door. Jung-suk dismisses it with a small okay, watching her go. Night air and porch light swallow Ale as she steps outside. She calls out for Mr. Do-hyun, then orders him to come inside now, her voice bouncing off the dark yard and the gate. Ale's face shifts from determined to panicked in an instant, and she whirls back toward the house as if she has just realized something awful. She screams for Miss Jung-suk, dragging her name out in a long, desperate cry, then declares that it is a big disaster, her whole body trembling as she bolts inside. Jung-suk springs up, eyes wide, and demands to know what is the matter. She wonders if Do-yeon wants to cancel the contract or something, but Ale immediately shakes her head and shrieks that no, it is not that, correcting herself as her panic spikes higher. She grabs at her own sleeves, gasping, and chokes out that Mr. Do-hyun is, before she finally forces the words free. Jung-suk goes still, pupils tightening, as Ale announces that Do-hyun was kidnapped. Jung-suk explodes, snapping that it is nonsense, then demands if Ale saw him get kidnapped with her own eyes. Ale insists that yes, she did, saying it happened right before her eyes, into a van. Jung Suk lashes out in disbelief, asking what Ale was doing while he was being kidnapped when she's a powerful demon king, her frustration sharpening into a harsh, shaking edge. Ale recoils and protests that her stamina is the same as a human's right now, then blurts that because she drank alcohol, she cannot use her powers either. Jung Suk forces herself to focus and demands to know about the license plate, asking if there was anything written on it. Ale jolts, eyes widening, and starts to say that it is, then freezes with a sharp gasp. A memory hits. She suddenly cries that she remembered, and Jung Suk whips her head forward and demands what it is, then shouts for her to say what was written on it. Under a wide sky with circling birds, Jung Suk storms ahead while Ale hurries after her, begging Miss Jung Suk to slow down. Jung Suk snaps back that she should hurry up, calling her Emil as they run. At the destination, Ale calls out again, asking if Jung Suk is sure Do Hyun is here, and Jung Suk answers that it has to be here. She presses Ale, reminding her that Emil said she saw it on the car that kidnapped Do Hyun, the words welcoming them to Dragon Palace. Ale confirms, voice tight with certainty, and Jung Suk repeats the key detail as they stare up at the looming traditional building, stating that it said Dragon Palace.